Hey, it's Dr. Shirley. How are you today? Nice to see you. I'm really glad you came to hear something new today. I've been really enjoying all the Facebook Lives all week and teaching a lot about health. I've also have 5 going on next week as well too. So I'll look forward to you joining me and as we continue to learn. I'm always open to whatever you want to be learning. Sorry, just trying to adjust this because it seems like my glasses are a little bright. All right, that's good. So today I'm really doing a little bit of storytelling, and within the story is something that we're going to learn about, which is called emotional blockage technique. And this is something I really didn't know anything about until I actually experienced it myself. Sometimes we think these things are just, out there, or maybe the word is maybe just a little woo-woo. Oh, hey, Angela, nice to have you with us. Hey, Christy. Hey, Lori, nice to have you. But this whole thing really, is not woo-woo. So my background, I want to tell you a little bit about me. First of all, I'm a doctor of naturopathy. I have a degree in health and wellness counseling. I did go to India for this yoga training, so that's what this story, is all about. I've written a best-selling book, and so I've done a lot of, really fun things over the years. And, last year was like a really crazy year for me, and some of you who know me well, hey Marilyn, how are you, know that it was just a rough year for me. My sister had died. Mark and I weren't living together for a while. I had a lot of crazy health problems pop up. It was just a year of transition, and the good news is I'm feeling amazing now, but so much of it had to do that time I spent in India. I didn't really plan on going to India. It was one of those life things. I was in my yoga class. I just got out today, which is why I got this little get up on. And this thought came to me, Shirley, you should go to India and do yoga training. And so I came home and I found this school. It was on a Saturday. I'm like, oh my goodness, it starts in 2 weeks. I'm like, I can't do that. I'm like, well, I could do that. I'm like, no, I can't do that. I'm like, well, I could do that. And so I hovered and I pressed the button and I ended up, in India just a couple weeks later. Hey, Sally, nice to see you. Hey, Dr. Marilyn, how are you? So anyway, my class was quite intense when I was there. It was for 5 weeks that I was there, and I went by myself. The classes started, I got up at 5:15 every morning, and they went until like 8 o'clock at night. 18 yoga classes a week. It was very challenging for me and a little bit intimidating because everybody in my class was pretty much younger than 30, okay? And let's just say I'm almost double that right now. So it was really quite a stretch, both emotionally and physically. So I'm in one of these classes, and it's my pranayama class. And if you haven't heard of this pranayama, look it up. It's called pranayama, and pranayama is all about breathing. So I literally learned how to breathe for, a full hour, at a time, and it was quite enlightening. And so my pranayama teacher, Prakash, is teaching, and all of a sudden he says, well, we work on the back this way, and we work on the back with certain herbs, and, he's talking about chiropractic, and I'm a little bit distracted because I'm watching out the windows because there's always monkeys there, and I've gotten kind of almost attacked by monkeys a couple times, so I became kind of fearful, but behind the glass, they were definitely, very, they were entertaining for me, but I heard him say this, and I raised my hand like a 3rd grader, and I was like, I thought in Ayurvedic medicine that all pain, was related to emotion. And he shakes his head. He's got this brown skin, these white eyes, and he's like, yes, that that is true. All pain is related, to emotion, but you can get rid of the pain through Ayurvedic. You can get rid of it through emotional blockage technique. And I'm like, well, what the heck is that? And he's very somber, and he says, it's very painful. Very painful. And I'm thinking like, all right, how painful, right? Us women who have had children, I'm like, okay, painful. And he's like, very painful, but it is good. You should go see the Swami. And I'm like immediately like excited. The Swami? There's a Swami? I should go see the Swami. And is a Swami here? Is he in Rishikesh? I was all the way up to the north in India. Rishikesh is a holy city where yoga was actually born. So it's quite interesting there. There's a lot of these sadhus, which are men that walk around, that have given up their life, to kind of, preach the word of yoga. And yoga's like almost, religious, over there. And so I'm excited, about going to see the Swami. I literally get out after class. I run, trot. I guess I'm not running, but I'm trotting, and I'm going down. Rishikesh, they don't really have any paved roads, everything's kind of alleyways, and I'm dodging cows and monkeys. This is the truth. And I get to the Swami's office, and it's like a regular office. There's a lady there, she's taking appointments, and, so I make my appointment, and I show up the next day, at 2:30. And I'm nervous. I'm a little bit anxious because I don't know what to expect. And all I've been told is that I'm going to have pain and I'm going to cry. And I'm wondering, what am I doing here? But this whole experience of going to India was to experience more. And I'd done some touch therapy and had Ayurvedic techniques. I was really growing and changing. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. So I come in, and Swami is a very gentle guy. He's not very tall. He's maybe about 5, 6, or 7, about 140 pounds. And he sits me down, and, he's kind of like this. And he's like, this is going to be painful, Shirley. And he touches my knee, and I'm kind of flippant. I'm like, okay, yeah, all right, that's cool. And he says, no, you will cry. And I'm like, really? And he's like, you might cry a lot, but it is okay. I am here, and you will be safe. I'm like, okay, let's do this. So I'm still nervous. I made the mistake of eating a half an hour before, so my food's digesting, my heart rate's up. I'm like, ay, ay, ay. So he has me lay down. I'm on my belly. I'm fully dressed, and he tells me to bend up my right leg. So he's got my feet in his hands, and he says, I'm going to start now. I'm like, okay. I'm thinking it's going to be a foot massage. He puts his finger, I don't know if his thumb or what the hell it was. It felt like a screwdriver, and he puts it on my inside of my baby toe, and I'm like, ah! I mean, it wasn't just a little it was a literally scream. I literally, I howled. I'm like, oh dear God. He goes on to the next toe. Ah, again, third toe, same thing. And I'm like, and the tears are starting already. I'm like, dear God, what is happening? I've only been doing this a minute and a half. What is this going to be like for an hour? I'm going to lose my mind. He goes over to the other foot, and I don't feel anything. It's like just kind of pressing on your hand. I don't feel a darn thing. I'm like, So he goes back to my left side, and he starts up my calf, and he gets to my calf, and he's like kind of drilling his fingers in. Same thing. Oh my God, I start to cry. And he says, left side relationship. And again, I just, shared with you, Mark and I were, spent some time away last year, and it was difficult for me. We've been together for 12 years, and, all couples go through these things, but, I was holding and feeling, a lot of this pain. So I really start to cry. Then he tells me to breathe. If you ever heard of Kalapati breathing, this is a wonderful breathing method, that it's a yogic in nature. It's called breath of fire. And it's like this, and this helps get the toxins out. So as I'm breathing, he's physically releasing these toxins and this pain, and I'm blowing them out to the tune of, I'm, really starting to get a little bit dizzy here. Goes over again to the right side, not feeling as much, and then he works his way up, to my, to my butt, to my ass. And this is getting kind of, I'm trying not to feel weird, because I'm like, all right, I'm here. So I decide to let it go. He puts one hand on one cheek and one hand on the other, and he just starts shaking my butt like a washer machine. And I'm kind of laughing at myself, all right, really? Shirley, you're here in India, and this man has his hands on your ass, just shaking it all around. Then he's holding on to me, and he lifts my butt cheeks up, and I go, poof. And I mean, it was just hysterical. And I'm just going, oh dear God, what am I doing here? And he goes, very good, break wind. And he's very professional, and he goes up to my back, and he starts, pushing in, more into my back. And my back is not bothering me, really at all. But when he gets up to the very top around my neck and he starts pressing, again, I start to cry, and I'm whimpering. And he's brushing the hair off of my face, and I'm, he's really yelling, breathe and breathe and breathe. He says, this is good. By this time, I'm starting to get a little bit delirious. It's hot in there, or either I think it's hot in there, it's hot in there. But my mind starts to really shift. I feel like I'm on another planet. I feel like I'm having this weird out-of-body experience, and I'm tingling from head to toe, just tingling. He tells me to roll over, and I literally can't move. I'm almost kind of numb. So he starts going up my legs, and I'm not hearing a whole lot there. Casey, I know, right? How much more personal could this be? But I mean, it's life. You wouldn't know these things otherwise, and it was a great experience. And so he gets up farther, and he gets around my cheek, and he gets right up in this area right here. Now, again, if you could take your fingers right now and poke yourself, I mean, could you really hurt yourself? I mean, you probably couldn't, right? You wouldn't think that would be that kind of an environment. So he starts over here, and he pushes here, and he pushes here. And again, the most wrecking sobs come out of my body. I mean, I don't know that I've ever cried like that. I really, really don't. It was just such this release and this release. And then he would go here and then he would go back again and it would hurt, not quite as much, but just as bad. And then he went back again and he poked and he pushed, and he pushed again. He probably went back about 5 times. And then he pushed and it didn't hurt and my body went calm. And he said, anxiety gone. And I was like, and even I could hardly talk. I'm like, really? And he's like, yes, anxiety gone. Now for, part of my background is I've had anxiety a lot when I was younger. Like if you read my book, Healthy, Lean, and Sexy, there's a lot written about it. I had anxiety before anyone even knew what panic attacks were. This is back when I was, this is back in the 80s. And anyway, that's how I got into alternative medicine. And I found all of the things I needed, like, magnesium, and I needed calcium and different herbals. And so I really, balanced my body naturally and herbally for many, many years. And, about 30. And then last year, this anxiety, started to come up again, like, really kind of crazy stuff. And it really had disrupted my life, to an amazing degree. And so to hear him say that to me, that, anxiety is gone. I mean, I just couldn't believe it. And I had been with him about an hour at that point. I could not get up. I'm laying on my back. I mean, my head is spinning, everything's spinning. My body's like just laying there. I mean, it was just nutty. And I'm like, oh my God. And I asked him, I'm like, am I going to be okay? And he's like, yes, you're okay. Very gentle, but I couldn't get up. I couldn't walk. I couldn't sit. I couldn't do anything. I lay there for about another half an hour, just blissing out, which, just felt like some kind of weird orgasm in your head, and just like in this really weird place. And then all of a sudden I could get up and I could move. And I left, and believe it or not, that out there I was there, that were 2 hours session with this Swami. $15. Okay, it's worth going to India just to get your head and your body cleared, for that kind of money. So then I go outside, and Rishikesh is very colorful. If you'd like to see some beautiful photos, my Instagram is Tales of Two Travelers, and you can scroll about halfway through. You'll see these wonderful Indian people, Tales of Two Travelers, but you'll see all the colors and all of the brightness on there, and everything was alive. It was like you were high. Everything was just so bright. So I went back to my room, and I had a yoga class in a half an hour. There was no way I could do a yoga class. I didn't know if I could ever move again. I just thought, but I was just in this blissed out state. I sat in my bed all night and ate toast and honey that the little Indian lady brought up to me, and some warm tea, and I slept like a stone. And I got up the next morning, and I was a different person, and I knew that I was. And a couple people, Sam Edmond, I don't think she's on, there's a new friend of mine from the UK, and a number of people at my yoga class ended up going. And we couldn't even describe it to anyone, but we became different people. And there's many times in your life when your life zigs and zags, and maybe that's a marriage, maybe it's a divorce, maybe it's an education, and your life zigs and zags. Well, this was one of my zags, and ever since I came back from India, I haven't had an ounce of any kind of anxiety whatsoever. I've been totally cool. I've been totally chill. Things happen. I'm like, wow, that's interesting. And even to be able to sit here and do this and, enjoy this and do this calmly, feels like, really, really great for me. So anyway, the technique is called emotional a blockage release. I'm sure that you could find someone to do it. I would definitely suggest going to an Ayurvedic doctor. But the whole bit of it is that we all have emotion inside of us, and the emotion inside of us, when it's in there, then it causes pain. Okay, so if we have physical pain, I used to think I could just take my herbs and it'll be better, and do some meditation, do some yoga, but getting all that out and doing the meditation and the yoga, and yes, I still take my B vitamins, but I don't take a drawer full of like stress herbs like I used to. And we all have a weak link. Every single one of us. I could ask you right now, what's your weak link? You might say, oh my gosh, I have allergies. I get my immune system's off. Someone else might be like, oh, my knees, my back, my joints are, always killing me. And or you may be a person who always has digestive trouble. You got irritable bowel, you can't eat anything. So every one of us has a weak link. That just happened to be mine. Shirley, thank you. Shirley Watson, thank you for the compliment. Lynn Malone, love you. Nice to see you. Yeah, lots of good stories here. So I'm going to be teaching again next week. If there's anything you want to hear from, I want to name off a couple things that I am going to be doing. I'm going to be talking about candida. Candida can be systemic throughout your body and cause all kinds of issues. I'm going to be talking about parasites, one of my favorite subjects in the world. I've traveled all over the world. Sometimes I pick them up, sometimes I don't, but they can be teeny tiny like a pinhead, or they can actually grow to be 10 feet long and live in your intestines. We're going to talk about that. You're going to want to know. I am going to talk about anxiety, and I'm also going to talk about preventing and brain health, brain as an organ, for health. So that'll be going on next week. I'm going to do the same thing at 11 o'clock. If there's anything I can ever help any of you with, please let me know. Does anyone have any questions or any other feedback? I always appreciate your likes. Likes are social proof, and when other people see this video, if other people have liked it, they think, oh, that must be interesting, or maybe I'll get something of value out of this. So I hope you enjoyed my story today. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you, and I will look forward to seeing you real soon. Have yourself a wonderful day, and namaste.